Hi, this is Richard Chamberlain. Welcome back to the Protecting Your Family's Future podcast. This is episode number 14, and today we're going to be talking about choices for distributing your assets in your estate plan. Now, for the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about different issues you need to think about, decisions you need to make in your estate plan. We talked about really who should be in charge if you're incapacitated or when you pass away. Today we're going to be looking at how to distribute assets. Now, that may seem like kind of an odd issue because a lot of people, when they first look into estate planning, they don't know that there are different options for how assets can be distributed. But really, there are two main ways that assets can be distributed. First is what we call an outright distribution. So that is the beneficiary just receives the asset. It's in their name. It belongs to them. They can do with it whatever they like. The other is what we call a distribution in trust. And so let's talk about the differences between those two. First of all, you would see an outright distribution either in a beneficiary designation, so for life insurance or a retirement account, a beneficiary designation on real estate. The owner dies and the beneficiary just receives it. You can do an outright distribution in a will, where the executor of the estate just gives the asset to the beneficiary. And that's, when I say gives the asset, that could be distributes the real estate or gives a car, or just writes a check to the beneficiary for whatever their cash distribution is. So it's not held in trust, it's distributed outright. You can also do an outright distribution in a trust. So, you want your estate to avoid probate, but you want to do an outright distribution, you can do that in a trust. So that's kind of the choice that people think about when they first start looking at estate planning, just distributing assets. But of course, there are other ways of doing things. That is leaving assets to beneficiaries in a trust. Now, why would you do that? Well, a couple of different reasons. The primary one is to protect the beneficiaries. Now, back in episode 10, we talked about protecting beneficiaries with your estate plan and why you might want to do that. So if you haven't listened to that episode yet, I'd encourage you to do that. But basically, if you have young beneficiaries or inexperienced beneficiaries who wouldn't be able to make good decisions about how to invest money, spend money, save money, then it might be a good idea to hold it in trust for them, have someone else manage the money until they are older and better able to do things for themselves. Maybe they are incapacitated. Maybe they're receiving some kind of government benefits that's tied to how many assets they have of their own. If they received assets, it would be, the result of that would be they would lose their benefits. So you would want to protect them from that situation. Or you could have a situation where your beneficiaries are fine, they're old enough, they're mature enough, they're responsible enough, but you still want to protect them from the influence of their spouse or their spouse's creditors, the possibility of a divorce. So an outright distribution in that case would not work. We would do a distribution to them in trust. So really, those are the main issues in how to distribute assets, either outright or in trust. It's really a good idea to have a discussion with your attorney about this, what's going to be best for you to accomplish what your goals are. But I wanted to make sure in today's episode that we looked at there are other options other than an outright distribution that can be very powerful and very beneficial for you and your beneficiaries. So I hope that was helpful for you. If you have questions or you want to talk to us about looking at your estate planning, we'd be happy to talk to you about that. Our contact information is in the show notes. Just reach out to us. And thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.